So it's no surprise, right, that Marvel Rivals is losing a lot of players and Overwatch is suddenly gaining popularity. I mean, if you guys have been following trends, you may have noticed that Overwatch has almost caught up to Marvel Rivals when it comes to the number of players on Steam itself. And when Marvel Rivals launched, the difference was like day and night. But somehow Overwatch managed to not only reach the same number of players as Marvel Rivals, we are only talking about Steam. We know that most Overwatch players don't use Steam. They use Blizzard's own launcher. So that means Overwatch has successfully overthrown Marvel Rivals in just a few months. This is not really that big of a concern because as a player, you are just free to play whatever game you want to play, right? Whatever game you are enjoying. But I think there are a few pointers that Marvel Rivals can take from this explosive success of Overwatch, which can really help with the overall development and growth of Marvel Rivals in general. So this video is going to be like a small comparison between the various features that I feel Overwatch is doing better than Marvel Rivals. The first difference is I think it's very prominent that Marvel Rivals is a third-person game and Overwatch is a first-person game. Now, this may not seem like that big of a deal, obviously, because first-person and third-person at the end of the day is a personal preference. Whatever you like to play, you enjoy playing, that is the mode that you're going to play. And I think there's going to be a lot of players who actually hate first-person and they enjoy third-person in general. So this may not feel like that big of a deal, but listen to me, this is what makes a big difference when you have first-person and a third-person in a game, all right? In first-person, you cannot really camp and play. Camp and play basically means you are hiding behind cover, you're hiding behind stuff the whole game, and you're trying to play this very stealthy game where you are always invisible from the enemy because you can take cover. In third person, it becomes much more easier because you can see your character, you can see the cover in front of you, so you can relatively position yourself very easily and stay out of sight. But in first person, this is not that easy to do unless and until you have a very, very good idea of the map and the agent you're playing. It's pretty difficult to, hide yourself and stay in stealth, which is why in Overwatch, most fights are very front-facing. But in Marvel Rivals, you have lots of camper characters like Moon Knight, for instance, Rocket, who will just be hiding behind cover, Iron Man, who will just be hiding behind cover and will be simply just shooting away at the enemies and using the cover at their advantage, which creates a slightly, more camper style, more passive style of gameplay, which is pretty difficult to pull off when you are an FPP game. Another thing is when you are an FPP game, your accuracy when it comes to shooting naturally increases. In Marvel Rivals, we know that the crosshair of the character is slightly towards the right of the character, right? It's not at the middle of the screen. This can create a lot of problems for people who are used to having a crosshair right at the center where the character is looking. Also, another thing is in Marvel Rivals, if you're like standing in front of a wall, if your character is standing too close to a wall and you're shooting an enemy, sometimes what happens is the bullets will just go and hit the wall. They will not hit the enemy. This is not a problem that you will face if you have an FPP setting, right? In FPP setting, you basically shoot whatever you're looking at. You don't have to face this problem of obstructions. Now, this may seem like a small problem at first because obviously once you get used to TPP, it's not really that big of a deal. But here's the thing, a lot of Marvel Rival players are actually ex-Overwatch players, right? These people have been used to playing first-person perspectives and they are used to very accurate aiming. So when they come and join a game where there is no first-person perspective and your bullets are being blocked by walls, the crosshair is slightly towards the right, this can create some sort of nuances, okay? Some problems that, as someone who plays FPP games, you may face problems with these. You may not feel at home or comfortable playing TPP. So I think a lot of players, because of that reason, may have started quitting Marvel Rivals because Marvel Rivals does not have an FPP and TPP switch or different game modes for FPP and TPP. Now, what can Marvel Rivals do to fix this? Probably they can add an FPP mode in the game, but then again, we have heroes like Spider-Man, right, which will become absolutely insane and very difficult to play with FPP. Another thing is content. Marvel Rivals in general right now has only one mode of ranked gameplay. The same domination or push the card gameplay that we have is basically the only form of ranked gameplay in the game. Yeah, you have a lot of quick match modes. You have Doom Match, you have Clone Rumble, lots of all that stuff. Some of that stuff just keeps repeating, right? It comes with events and goes away. But when you're talking about ranked, we only have one method of ranked gameplay, and because most people play the game to play ranked, most people want to rank up, it becomes kind of monotonous when you're playing the same game mode again and again, and you're doing the same thing again and again. We don't have a lot of maps as well. The same maps keep coming up again and again. Overwatch, the situation is a little bit different. Overwatch has been out for many years, right? So now they have more gameplay modes, they have more maps. So obviously the variety when it comes to games increases and people have a lot more choices. This thing is lacking in Marvel Rivals, and I think people kind of got bored playing the same thing again and again, playing the same heroes, playing the same maps. So they probably went back to Overwatch to, get a breath of fresh air. I mean, not a fresh air, but get more variety in their gameplay. So I don't think like Marvel Rivals will run out of content in the future because obviously it has the huge Marvel IP behind it, right? They potentially have thousands of heroes, and they also can create unlimited map content. They can just pick up any location from their comics or from their movies, and they can create a map out of it, something which Overwatch cannot do, because they will have to create heroes, create maps from scratch. They have to, idealize and visualize all these heroes and everything. So it's definitely a much more time-taking process when it comes to Overwatch. But in Marvel Rivals, they can very easily create like unlimited heroes and unlimited maps by just picking up a hero from the comics and putting it in the game. So I think this is a temporary problem. This problem will not really last that long, and in the future, Marvel Rivals will probably end up having much more content than Overwatch in general. But as it is right now, because Marvel Rivals is a new game, we don't really have that many game modes and that much content in the game available right now to keep people, invested for months at a time. Another thing I think Marvel Rivals does better is dev communication. Marvel Rivals devs have always been pretty active with the community. They listen to community feedback. They make special dev videos addressing problems of people, right? And they have been treating the memes like we made for the game very nicely. They have been putting different emotes, they have been putting different stickers in the game from all those memes. So it's really good to see a developer that's actually listening. On the other hand, Overwatch did not have competition for many years, right? So Overwatch devs are known for being some of the most oblivious devs. They will never listen to what the players have to say. But after Marvel Rivals came out, Overwatch devs have suddenly started listening to players, and I think this has created a sense of hope among Overwatch players who quit the game because the devs were not listening. Suddenly they started listening, so this has given a sort of hope to these players. Marvel Rivals, again, while they have been listening to players, they have made a few mistakes. For instance, let's talk about this EOMM situation, right? A lot of people were saying that the matchmaking in Marvel Rivals sucks, and there was EOMM. Now the devs did address this issue, but the video was very bare bones. They barely explained how the matchmaking works, and they clearly came forward and said that we don't have EOMM. Now it's cool if you don't have EOMM, but that does not explain why your matchmaking is still so bullshit, right? So they definitely had to address why their matchmaking system is so crap, but they did not really reflect on that, and I think that annoyed a lot of people. Sometimes having communication with your audience is good, but if their communication is not open, and if you're trying to hide stuff from the community, it creates more problems than it solves. And that is exactly what's happened out here. I think a lot of people were pissed with the matchmaking, and when the devs did not come out clearly and mention how the matchmaking works, it made the players even more annoyed, and I can see why a lot of players may have quit because of that. Okay, now let's talk about the gameplay between both of these games. Now, Overwatch is a very hardcore game, okay? Overwatch is made for more sweaty players. On the other hand, Marvel Rivals, as you know, is catered towards more casual audience. It has more Marvel fans than actual hardcore FPS players, and Marvel fans are here to enjoy playing their favorite heroes, right? So it's a much more casual play style compared to Overwatch, where you don't really have this sort of hero fan base or anything. People are playing the game just to be good at the game. So that creates a sort of difference, okay? Because Marvel Rivals is also a new game, and because it has a lot of Marvel fans coming in, what happens is a lot of players playing Marvel Rivals actually don't have any idea what they're doing. They're playing the heroes that they like because those heroes are their favorite heroes, and because the game is just barely out, it's not even been a year, they did not have the time to learn all the mechanics, learn every single meta, okay, learn all the heroes and everything. So what happens is you have an immature player base which is trying to learn the game, which is trying to get good at the game, and you have a lot of casual players who don't really care about getting good at the game. They just want to play their heroes. Now when you mix these sort of people with really sweaty players, as we know, a lot of Overwatch players have migrated to Marvel Rivals, right? These players are basically pretty sweaty tryhard players because Overwatch is a very sweaty game. So when you mix these sort of players with casual players, what happens is the casual players don't meet the expectations of these really good players. Because of this, you end up in matches where you think that you are trying your level best, but your team is completely lacking behind. Nobody is really playing seriously. People are picking wrong roles. People are just throwing the games because you are probably trying too hard, and you're forgetting the fact that Marvel Rivals is a very casual game. And this can create a lot of frustration. I have been seeing the community, and I have seen so many posts about people complaining that their teammates are absolutely shit. Maybe they are shit because they are very casual players and you are playing a casual game, right? If you were playing a very sweaty game where everyone is expected to be sweaty, then probably you would not be facing this problem as much as you're facing it in Marvel Rivals. And I can see why this may have pissed off a lot of Overwatch players, because they are used to having sweaty teammates. They're used to having try-hard games, and suddenly you are put in a game where everyone is casual and half of the people don't even care about winning or losing. They're just playing heroes they like. It can drive you insane. Not to mention, the healer meta in Marvel Rivals is far worse than Overwatch. Why do I say this? Because the healers in Marvel Rivals are mostly heal bots. We do have a few healers that actually feel like strategists, like Loki or Ultron, but the problem is the strategy aspect to these healers is not really that good. Overwatch healers have a lot of strategic play, right? They have abilities that can flip the game, not just by healing the team, more creative ways to play a hero. But on the other hand, we have healers in Marvel Rivals, specifically the meta healers like Luna Snow, who really don't have any strategy to them. The only strategy is you click your ults and you act like a heal bot the whole game. and you click your ult at the right time and nobody dies. It's a very boring form of gameplay. It makes the games boring because ultimately at the end of the day you are having a heal bot battle. Whichever team has more heal bots, they win the game. So I think Marvel Rival healers need to be a little bit more strategic. Like they should have abilities aside from healing, which can decide the gameplay, which can decide the flow and the direction of the game. So a good example of this would be Loki. Then we have Adam Warlock, whose ultimate can really flip games, a really strategic ultimate. So we need more strategist type healers in the game, in my opinion, and not just heal bot healers, because heal bot healers are becoming annoying and people are becoming tired of these guys. Now let's talk about ranked, the difference in ranked. I think this is something that is a big issue, a big difference between Overwatch and Marvel Rivals. Overwatch does ranked queues, but they have different roles. Okay, so basically role queues. And what role queues do is they give you a balanced team at best. And you don't have people who suddenly are all going 5 DPS or are all going 3 tanks because they just want to do it. But in Marvel Rivals, because you have no role queues, people are just absolutely picking whatever hero they want to play and they completely go for bullshit team comps. This is a big problem in lower and mid heroes. This problem can be easily solved with a role queue. Now I know role queue will increase matchmaking times, and that is why Overwatch has 2 different gameplay modes, right? Like you can just select a flex role in Overwatch and the game will just assign a random role to you. So because of that, what happens is not only people learn to play flexible roles, like in Marvel Rivals you will see people who are literally sitting in a Grandmaster and they will say that I cannot play anything other than DPS. Bro, you insta-locked all your way to Grandmaster using just DPS is just absolutely crazy, right? Having a role queue and having a flex queue option in their role queue basically means people are forced to play different roles, because if they don't want to play other roles, they will have to sit in a really long matchmaking time. Probably they're matchmaking for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and they get a game with their preferred role. Or they can just go flex queue. In that case, they will get really fast matches and they will actually have to learn different roles. This not only improves the player base, because the player base learns how to play different roles, but this also creates a much more sane gaming environment, because you get balanced teams in the games, right? You don't get absolute bullshit teams. Ranked in Marvel Rivals, we all know, is living hell. Okay, people are just picking whatever hero they want. People are throwing games, right? The whole EOMM issue that just got addressed. There's no EOMM, but still the matchmaker sucks. So obviously adding small stuff like a role queue can really help Marvel Rivals fix the ranked issue. So ranked experience in Overwatch is just far better than Marvel Rivals, and I think this is why a lot of Overwatch players who switched to Marvel Rivals in Season 0 slowly started going back to Overwatch, because the rank situation in Marvel Rivals is just way too pathetic. Unless you are playing a duo or trio queue or a 5-stack, it's so difficult, it's so random to rank up. And if you are coming from a game that has a role queue into a game that does not have role queue, you will actually feel insane. What other things can Marvel Rivals improve? Obviously adding role queue. Another thing which Marvel Rivals can do, and I think which they will be doing next season, is adding placement matches. The devs did say that they will add placement matches, so I think that will be huge in my opinion. That will help remove Smurfs from the gameplay lobby, because the Smurfs will just rank instantly higher in the placement matches, right? They will just go in and above in a higher tier, and people who are not Smurfs will not have to deal with Smurfs in ranked games. I think that is going to be such a big deal in low heroes, especially after season reset. They can obviously add role queues. They can make a role queue and a flex queue so that the quality of teams you get improves. And overall, they should address the matchmaking, because going on 7, 10, 15 loss streaks is definitely not normal. It should not happen if you have a 50-50 chance of getting teams. Obviously, there is something going on out here which is forcing people into win queues, or like into winning queues or into losing queues, right? So something is definitely going on, and Marvel Rivals devs need to come forward and need to explain it properly, how their matchmaking system works, like with all the intricate details, or they need to fix the matchmaking system, because it's really bad right now. Also, not speaking of rank, let's speak of quick play. I think Marvel Rivals should remove bots from quick play, right? Because we have a dedicated system, a dedicated mode versus AI mode in Marvel Rivals, where if you want to play against bots, you can just play that game, right? You will get bot teammates, you will get bot enemies, and you can play against bots all you want. If you want to play against real players, you should be getting real players. And I think people play quick match and not against bots, not versus AI, because they want to play against real players, right? And if they are substituting bots because there are no players, then overall when the game progresses, these bots should be replaced with real players. That is what a lot of games do, right? In order to give you fast games, they add bots into your lobby, but then when other players queue up, they slowly replace these bots with real players. Marvel Rivals does not do this. They just keep the bots the whole game, and at the end of the day, it becomes entirely a bot lobby, and it becomes a total bot game. A lot of people want to practice heroes in quick play, right? And if you're just playing against bots, then the whole practice thing goes to waste. You cannot really practice anything against bots. They're way too easy. So that way, Marvel Rivals can definitely improve their matchmaking and their gameplay systems. All right. Another thing that Marvel Rivals really needs to do is increase the hero roster. Right now, Overwatch has way too many heroes, and Marvel Rivals does not have that many heroes, which is understandable because it's a new game. But Marvel also has thousands of heroes, right? Overwatch cannot just come up with thousands of new hero designs or concepts because it's going to take them a lot of time. But for Marvel Rivals, what they can do is that they can easily pick any hero from the comics and they can put it into the game. I think having a bigger roster makes each of the games much more interesting because you will have a much more diverse meta. People will be able to pick many different heroes from whatever they like. And at the end of the day, this is a Marvel game, right? If you are putting fan favorite Marvel characters into the game, more and more Marvel fans are going to flock and play the game. So the more heroes you have, the better. I think the hero release cycle in Marvel Rivals right now is a little bit too slow, considering how many heroes they have, right? So they can definitely speed up the hero release process, at least now when the game has momentum, when the game has a lot of players. Because once the players leave the game, you can try to release as many heroes as you want, bro. But once your game is dead, people are not going to come and play it. So you have to keep the people who are in the game right now excited. Keep bringing new heroes, adding more maps, because you can have unlimited map ideas from your comics. So keep the game fresh. And another thing they need to do really is add more healers and add more tanks, because as we know, we have way too many DPSs. They have so many Marvel heroes, right? They could make more they could make more tanks and more healers very easily. So they should really focus on creating more healers and more tanks right now. That will definitely improve the situation of the game. Overall, the monetization system can also be improved. As I said before, we are getting way too much limited time content. So limited time content and permanent content can be balanced. We can have a good balance between how many limited time events and skins we're getting and how many permanent events and skins we're getting, right? A 50-50 ratio would be good, because having way too many limited events also creates a FOMO, and it also makes the game appear cheap. Overall, Overwatch is improving rapidly now that it has competition, and player numbers have also kind of caught up with Marvel Rivals. Meanwhile, Marvel Rivals is losing players at an alarming rate, right? So NetEase needs to fix these small issues if they really want to keep Marvel Rivals going for the future. And I think there's not really a huge number of things they need to do, right? Whatever I mentioned, they are pretty small changes, and NetEase can easily pull these off, right? These are not very game-changing, very huge changes that they need to do. They need to do like really small changes. So let's hope that NetEase knows what they're doing and the game does not end up dying, because personally, I prefer Marvel Rivals more to Overwatch. I like Overwatch gameplay, but then once again, I prefer Marvel Rivals just because I like the Marvel hero concepts more, right? I don't really feel at home with Overwatch heroes. So yeah, I don't want this game to die. I want it to succeed. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Are you an ex-Overwatch player, or are you someone who played Marvel Rivals and now have recently switched to Overwatch? What was your experience between both of these games, right? What did you find better in Overwatch, or what did you find better in Marvel Rivals? Let me know down in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video.